Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. And with me this evening, I have with me Mr. Walter Ruscniaczek. Walter is a life coach, financial planner. Look, you had a lot of things going on, brother Walter. I'll just say, man, you're owner of a car lot now.
Yes, sir. I am an owner of a car lot. I've had the car lot for the last 10 years. I am an owner of a car lot.
Okay. And
everything I try to do in my life was to stay out of the car business, and everything I did, they just brought me back in. So I don't know what that means. So if you're looking how not to do something, this would be a good example of to follow my life and do the opposite.
Walter, welcome to the show, my man. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and speak with me on my platform. But notwithstanding all the professional things that you've accomplished, Walter, you've been through a lot as well. And the work and what you have been through, I would assume that it taught you that work ethic to establish where you are right now and the type of person that you are at this moment.
Yes. So would you just like me to go into something that came to the top of my head?
Go ahead.
All right. So a little bit, I think when you speak, and it reminds me, it's like, oh, what gets you to where you are? And there's moments, right? You can go to therapy and they tell you it's trauma, you can do this, but I think there's those galvanizing moments in your life, and you realize that this is what I want to do. And it's in my life, it's what I didn't want to do. It's where I wanted to go to, and I wanted to surround myself with the smartest people possible, because I thought I watched hanging around dumb people, and that was getting me, and I thought, well, that's not what I want to do. So I went to the library and I started hanging out with people. Go, what are you going to do? They go, I'm going to go to college. I go, I'll hang out with you. And it's not that I didn't have the ability. It's just we moved a lot. We moved around a lot. We can talk about all the reasons why things weren't happening, but there is a decision in everyone's life, at least in this life, that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that pretty much is the cornerstone of those moments. Now, do I get lazy? Oh, absolutely. Do I get like complacent? Every day. Am I easily manipulated by whatever's on television? Of course. I'm a human being. They spend a lot of money to program me the way they want me to think. But there are times where I say no, enough is enough. And I have to remember that the gift of life. Hold on a second. Someone's excited with the gift of their life with a motorcycle outside. But the gift is I kind of say it like this. I started life as a winner. Did you really? That's kind of arrogant. Well, I mean, I beat out all the other sperm. So if I won, then you won. That means we're both winners to begin with.
Amen.
It's like that old Grace Jones commercial. We all start out the same. Where you go from there is up to you, right? Now, I don't have a Honda scooter, but I do have a Honda Goldwing. Does that make me better than that? I don't know, but it still makes it fun to be alive. But we talk about, and I think that's the part you see, I've been through a lot, and that's the humility part. And I think that's what I like about the car business is I see a lot of different people in a lot of different walks of life. And I can't say it's therapeutic, but it does give people a place. I try to give people a place that's safe for them to build back what they're trying to do. Like some people just need transportation to go on with their lives, and some people are trying to build their lives back together. And I try to give them all the tools so that they can be successful, at least they can have a car so they can go to work. I remind them, hey, look, we have a car so we can go to work. So if something breaks, call me immediately so that you're not getting buried by something else that makes it even harder for you to get to work. So that's what I do like about what I do. I like the opportunity of helping people, giving them, because you need transportation, especially here in Southern California, that's reliable, safe, and inexpensive to operate. And so I don't know if that's the ethos of all things, but it's my version of I get to make money, and I'm not saying I don't, but I'm not dealing with huge profit mark. Like cars that I could finance and make more money, they're inexpensive $4,000 or $5,000 cars, and we help people get back on their forward. That sounded like a lot of mumbling, but anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah, totally
so
do.
Let's get some questions. That's a little bit about who I am and how I got here, and then I'll let you run the interview. I'm sorry.
Coming from a person who's used to running things, now has to sit back and take the back seat. I
Yes,
got
sir. So you're driving. Thank you.
you. All right, all right. So you gave a little bit about what drives you, to doing what you do, because I wanted you to start off by, I guess, telling us about your background, because your background, it really does set the foundation for your drive.
Mhm. Um, so where would you like me to start in the background?
Uh, from your formative years, I would say,
Okay, I'll do that. So I was born, I almost started like the jerk.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I was
yeah.
thinking
Whoa, slow down, pal.
that.
I was born the son of a reborn Christian and a used car salesman. So that'll tell you right there, there is good and evil right there from the start.
Yeah.
My dad would tuck me into bed and say things like, remember, son, figures don't lie, but liars can figure, so don't forget to do math. And my mother would say, don't forget to pray to God every day. So between trying to make my make-believe friend happy in the Lord and my father in the secular world in which we lived in, it definitely had a lot of contrast. We moved a lot because my dad, he hustled. He made a lot of different moves, and sometimes things didn't go as planned. And we had to literally pick a box. Whatever fits in the box gets to go. The rest of it stays. We had to leave states because he was in trouble.
Mm,
Um, like not just like trouble, like, oh, I have a speeding ticket, like trouble. Like people wanted us to like not be there anymore.
mm,
So that gives me a different view. And I've been, my father, he used to say it's just peaks and valleys. And there are things that we were able to bounce back, like that resilience. Let's go. We can, it's okay. And then there's other times that mentality has, we'll use the word, hindered some things that I would necessarily want to do. Like there's no time to process the grief or the sadness because sometimes there's no time to process. And then there's the, do you like to live in chaos? And sometimes in my life I have, because I know how to, I know I can function in it. But is that really what I want to do? No, that's not what I want to do. So I think what's more important is how do I maintain a a life? And I think it's interesting because um, I was married. My first wife died, and before she died, she woke up like 6 months before and said, "I don't love you anymore." So that was a shock to the system. And then 6 months later, she was dead. Um, that was a shock to my system.
mm.
So I thought, how do you bounce back from that? What's the meaning of life? The meaning of life is nothing. Well, no, the meaning of life is everything matters. And so how do you get
Say that
to
again. The meaning of
everything
life is what?
matters? So
Everything matters. Okay.
there's a book called A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he's to say that here's where you have to be humble and not just throw names and go, oh, I'm just like that. But this is a man who survived the Holocaust. Okay. He was a psychologist and a psychiatrist. And the first half of the book is his stay in Auschwitz and what he did to survive. The second half of the book talks about his mentality and what he discovered in humans. And what he discovered was like a lot of times we got to have a meaning. Well, yeah, you have to have a purpose. But more important, the thing that I got out of it was I don't ask, it's not like don't ask what you can do for your country, but I'm not trying to be Kennedy here, but what he said was you do what life asks you to do. And nothing that life asks you to do is forever. So even though he was imprisoned, he shared that he wasn't going to be a prisoner forever because nothing is forever. He may die a prisoner, but he's
Yeah.
not going to be a prisoner forever.
Mm.
And so what was his job as a prisoner? And one of his jobs as a prisoner is not to die. So that's his job. Now, you and I, we have different jobs, and we don't have to think about not dying today, right? That's not our job. Our job is not to die today. We kind of assume that maybe it's take out the trash, maybe it's something more, like trite. But when you're in those severe things in life, you have to remember that's what life's asking you to do. And so when does the rubber hit the road? I mean, I've had moments where we wanted to put doorknobs through my head. I didn't want to live anymore. I've had to pick myself up the floor, and what inside me changed. So that's a lot to share in one sentence. So let's give you some context of what I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay. So 10.5 years ago, I woke up and I realized that I no longer wanted to drink. Okay. And I didn't want to drink for years. I used to look at my journals, quit smoking, quit drinking, lose weight. And then, within a couple of weeks, I'm drinking, smoking, losing, doing all the things I would normally do. And I saw all these old journals. And so finally, to me, I was talking to a friend of mine, probably 4 months before I stopped drinking. And I said, you really haven't been drinking for like 10 years? He was in AA. And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, how's that possible? He goes, well, let me ask you a question, Walter. And I use this for a lot of things in my life. Is it enhancing your life? I go, what do you mean? Does drinking enhance your life? And I had to think about it. And I said, well, sometimes it does. Sometimes the steak tastes better with the right wine, or sometimes, it's nice to be at a party and say Happy New Year and have a champagne in your hand. He goes, okay, that's probably reasonable. He says, but does it always? And I had to look at him and go, no, it doesn't always. And so when it stops enhancing your life more than enhancing your life, that's probably when a change needs to happen. And I woke up on the 13th of June, 2015, and I said, that's enough. And my current wife at the time was like, oh, I've heard this before. And I said, woman, I don't ask you to do much, but throw everything away. And if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, I promise I'll never ask you to do anything else again. Well, 3 months went by and I didn't drink, and I started getting edgy. And so someone suggested I go to AA. And at that time in my life, it was interesting because I'd gone before to see meetings and stuff like that, but it's not like I didn't think I was better than. That's not what I'm getting. I just didn't think I had what they had. And I was able to listen. And what I discovered in myself is my thinking was distorted. Now, there's a lot of different reasons and a lot of reasons I could say. I could say maybe it's because of my dad or my mom or my cousins, but there was thinking that I had that I could hear other people had similar thoughts, and not like scary thoughts, just like how I perceive the world.
Yeah.
And when you hear people perceive the world in the same way you are, you're not alone anymore. Everyone's story is a little bit different, how we program our brains to get wherever we are. And so I started unraveling it. Well, the good part was, you get to let go and let God. That was pretty exciting for me.
Mm.
All of a sudden I didn't have to rule the world anymore. I'm oversimplifying it. But then, I was going to a meeting every day for 7.5 years, and words like my brain is not my friend and my ego is not my amigo, and I don't go in my head because I can't trust my own thoughts. And to say it once on a podcast, no one's like, okay, whatever, dude, I don't understand. But you start saying things, and what you say is what you manifest. And I'm not really into dream catching and bizarreness, but I do believe that you do. But I do believe that you can program yourself to a lot of different things. And I think that's what's amazing about the human mind.
Okay.
And I study my mind and then I watch others. I just see like how the gift is that my mind is plasticity. So it can change, right? It's not
Right.
always change. It doesn't always change because I want it to, but it
Right.
can change with time.
Yeah.
But what was happening was I was reinforcing the bad thoughts I had about myself in the mantras in which I was articulating. And so when a pressure point hit, I didn't know how to deal with it. And exit was the only thing I had in my mind because I wasn't going to drink. Because for me, that a lot of things were taken to me. I was moved a lot. Things were taken from me. Wives were taken from me. And I always said, no one can take my sobriety, but I can always give it back. And I wasn't giving it back, but I'll
Mm.
give my life for it. Well, that's extreme. I give that credit to my mother, the zealot, who loved Jesus so much that she was just nuts. But that doesn't make her a bad person. It just means that's where part of that quality of my life comes. So as I was on the floor, I woke myself up. I said, well, who's running this show? I said, that guy. Well, fire that motherfucker and let's get back to work, Walter.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up the phone. I called Kaiser. Are you safe in your thoughts? Well, I can see that the walls are getting closer, but I don't need to go to an institution, but I'm okay. But I'm not okay. And so we'll say 3 years of heavy, I had some peaks and valleys, but what really happened was I remembered I was looking at all this self-help. The phrasing that's you got to do the work, you got to do the work, you got to do like what the fuck we got to do the work. What do you mean talking? Do the work, do the what work? What work are you babbling about? The work, the work. You got to put the work in. Oh, you're doing the work. You got the therapy, and I got all the therapy, and I know how. I mean, I know how to regurgitate nonsense. I mean, I'm good at it. I mean, I'm a parrot. I know what to say.
Right.
Trauma, yeah, right. You can't have trauma without you, right? That's right. That's because there's you in the middle.
Yeah.
But I don't make fun because that's not what I'm getting at. Because everyone needs something to do something at some time when those critical points are. But for a guy like myself, or people who identify with my type of personality, there has to be, I need to talk to someone smarter than me, not also sick like me. Not that I can't talk to sick people to listen to change,
Yeah.
and that's where meetings are important. But I need to talk to someone healthier than me.
Yeah.
When you have an ethos that you're ill and nothing that you do because you're just an evil, not evil, evil's maybe too strong of a word, but you're born broken because you're alcoholic. That's all I wanted to do is not to drink, man. That's all I wanted to do. Right? I want to wake up with all these new things, but I bought it. I went with it.
Yeah.
But what I discovered is, yes, I don't drink because I don't want to. When I drink, I can't because I don't know what's going to happen next. So I accept there's things about alcoholism that make sense that I identify with, but I can't live sick. So for a guy like me, I was at therapy. And my therapist is 90, and I can't do his impression right now because I'm not in this space, but it's pretty funny. But he said, Walter, I said, yes, sir. Maybe you should read Marcus Aurelius. I go, what's Marcus Aurelius? He goes, he's like the first self-help. I said, I don't need self-help. Oh, he's the antiquitous. You'll love him. I'm like, all right. And as I'm in the thing, the phone rings, and my buddy's like, dude, I got your answer. I go, what's my answer? Read Marcus Aurelius. I go, okay. I don't know if there's a God, but we'll just say that this is a touchstone moment. So I get meditations. But I don't read all of meditations. I read a couple things like, okay, great. I'm not an emperor. I'm not going to be running around. I don't want to rule Rome. I don't need to fix anything. I just want, I want to start thinking. But there were things that were said and I read, and I came across David Gibbons, who wrote the Demise and Fall of the Roman Empire. If you have the time and you want to read 8 volumes of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it showed the history of the Western world, of how the world thought. And that's what intrigued me.
Okay.
And then there was something that Aurelius said, either in passing or something. It's not that I don't like the Christian. It was that faith is detrimental to a republic. You have to think. Not that you can't have faith in something. That's not what it's getting at. It's more like, but you got to have reason. And that's when I started, for this person, how did I get these ideas in my head? And I do read a lot, and it's not to be braggadocious, it's for my own health. And so instead of saying I read Renee Brown with The Atlas of My Heart, which is a very beautiful book. If you haven't got a copy, it's a wonderful coffee table book. It's got pictures, it's got all the things. It tells you when you're sad. It's wonderful. But what I want to know is why I got sad. I know I'm sad. I figured that one out. But what did I believe that made me into this? So is it systemic? Is it conditional? Is it the lies? Is it and to say lies is a hostile thing. And I came across a phrase that was, original sin isn't that Mary or that Adam and Eve had sex. Original sin is everything that your parents taught you, because everything they taught you was a lie, but not deliberately. It wasn't their fault. It's what they know. And so it's what we know is okay, and there's truth to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay. So
Mm-hmm.
now what do we explore?
Yeah.
What do we explore in ourselves? And I don't think you have to.
Walter, also, let me,
I say a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, also, it gives you the wisdom to realize that what you're doing isn't the smart thing to do. And you have
Yeah.
to turn it around, which leads me to ask you this question.
Yes.
You have kids, right?
No, I'm really good with other people's kids. No, I don't have any
Yeah.
children. I had a low sperm count because of my drinking and heavily smoking. When you smoke 4 packs of cigarettes, it makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank God I don't do that.
Well, I mean, I was in the shower. I smoke in the shower. I didn't get like, you're smoking in the shower. Yeah, I'm smoking in the shower. It's like, my,
No,
I'm a contrarian. But go
I
ahead.
was just going to ask in regards of breaking generational curses and generational cycles of neglect and abuse and violence. Uh, but I guess in a sense you broke it. Your dad was involved in drugs and or alcohol, and you broke that.
He also was an anomaly of the family. So my aunt, she married a chemical engineer. They're all educated. They're all intelligent people. But I was in an anomaly of the world in which I lived. So it wasn't generational alcoholism or generational abuse. But I think about that a little bit too. I mean, I kind of make a joke sometimes. Like, you know why they used to be able to smoke in court like in the 50s? Because they killed Nazis. You kill Nazis, you can smoke in court, you can smoke in a hospital. You don't kill Nazis, they have smoking laws. It's kind of a joke, but it's not the best one I got. But the point is, these were people that our ancestors, wherever that comes from, they still had enough enough wisdom to say, I want the world, I want my next group to be better. At least that's how I was brought up. My dad said, no matter what happens, son, my job is to make sure that your life is better, not to make you dumber than me. So if you never got that message from your parent, let me tell you, that's what they were trying to do. Their job was to, even if they told you weird shit, it was still to make you better than them. And you have to, and if you own that cloak, you can take a lot of beatings. Not that that's what life's supposed to be, is taking beatings, but it gave me a shield of resilience that I know it's going to be better eventually.
Mm. You mentioned to me during our initial conversation, Walter. You said that when you get lost, you go to reality.
Yes.
That I had to write that down, bro, because that was a deep one right there. So can you break down what that meant?
Okay. So in the past, let's say um, when I was a kid, let's just say we had to move. And I'll grow it and I'll grow the idea. So we had to move because dad did something and everything was bad. The reality was everything will be okay. I have food, I have shelter, I'll be okay. That was even though that's basic for a lot of kids, but there are people that it's uncomfortable. We don't know where we're going to be. So that was basic. Um, as I got older, um, it was I could rely on myself to go to work, that I knew how to make money, at least something. I knew I could be okay. There's a story with and these are the types of things that I carry that remind me. I think it was Dizzy Gillespie was on the Carson show, and Carson was going through a divorce, and he was talking to Dizzy Gillespie. He's like, "Hey, how many divorces have you gone through?" And, something like that. He goes, "I don't care about the money, Johnny, because as long as I have my horn, I can always make money. You're Johnny Carson. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can always make money. You're Johnny Carson."
Mm.
But it was that line, I always have my horn. So I always had my talent that I could forge through. I could read, I could write, I can do arithmetic. Am I the best at it? No, but I can get better at it. I have the capacity to learn, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but I have a resilience not to give up. That's what I have inside me. That's reality to me. But when I didn't know how to stop drinking, so to speak, or I didn't trust it. And the reality was I just didn't trust life without drinking.
Mm.
And it wasn't because it's a systemic problem. It just became a part of life, right? So we're from the 70s and the 80s, I'm assuming, right? I mean, what do? You wake up, you go to college, you join a frat, you drink beer, then you get a job, then you make your life into a beer commercial, and then maybe you have kids, and and next thing you know, it's like, I guess it's like Married with Children, and you have some wife that occasionally you have sex with, right? And then you die. Yay! That's the American dream. But when it doesn't fold out that way, and then I started drinking more than I necessarily needed to. I didn't trust life without it because it stopped the noise. We talked about stopping the noise last time.
Yeah.
And the noise is just I'm catching up. I got to catch up. I got to catch up. And what I learned when I stopped drinking, which I didn't, Let me say it this way. I drank to get space, stop the noise and go to sleep. Once I stopped drinking, I realized there was a lot more space and things I could deal with. So when things were stressing me out, I didn't have to run from them. I had this, I could muscle through it, and then that chatter would just go away. So the reality now is this is the part that was hard for me. And this is what I was searching for. Once I gave reality away, and when I mean I suspended disbelief. I a power greater than myself, and I gave authority to an element outside myself and didn't give myself credit. Not to beat my chest. I'm so great because I did this. That's not what I'm talking about, but the resilience to do something. I started reading the philosophers, and they were like, "No, that's the problem. Your ethos, your basis of," and that's why to me philosophy is important and reality is important. Um, a lot of broken men eventually find Ayn Rand with objectivism, but it's such a pure sense of this is a rock. There's nothing else than a rock. You can do a Socratic debate to death and disprove something. That's fun. It's mental masturbation. It keeps your mind sharp.
Mm.
But reality is reality. And I don't have to prove, it's kind of like if I don't have to prove that God exists for God to believe in me, I don't have to prove reality for reality to exist. It's there. I may not be seeing it correctly, I may not be engaging in it correctly, but it's there.
Mm.
So as long as I know reality is there, that's security to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a that's a big shift in this kid's head. But I didn't know that I did it naturally. Like I did it naturally based on my conditioning of how I lived, right? We moved, everything will be okay. I had to, for better lack of terms, give it away because I didn't either respect it, trust it, or understand it. And I asked someone to help me. Remember, I said, I want to change my life. If I want to change my life, I'm looking outside to help me. And if they're like, this is the way you do it, then I'll do it. Okay. I mean, I still get to be myself and I go, yeah, but I'll do it. But when I did it and I was so far out, and that's the best way to describe it, where others were, you got to go to meetings and you got to do this and you got to do that. And the way I owned it, I'm not saying it's bad, how I internalized it and used the program and the things in my life, that's where I have to take responsibility. It's like no one did anything to me. I bought it. I wanted it.
And that's saying a lot that you own what you've done, and you I hate to use the phrase, but you did the work to make the change.
Sometimes,
which
yes.
which,
Better
which
lack of terms, what do you say? Right.
yeah, but right, but it leads me to ask you this question. In your bio, you mentioned that you read a book called The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Does
Yeah.
that talk about what you're discussing now as far as making changes within yourself?
Well, Kafka's story about metamorphosis is a little different. It's about a man who wakes up as a bug. Okay. So a Kafkaesque dream. Think of it like a fever dream. Okay. Like you wake up and it's just everything's opposite. So he feels like a human, but he's actually a bug. And so in a Kafkaesque world, you're fighting a reality because your position is you might as well just be a bug. You've metamorphosed into a bug without even realizing it. You've cowered to your work, you've cowered to your parents, you've cowered to your wife, you've cowered to all these ideologies. And so what are you? You're nothing more than really just a bug. That's it's art, it's literature. There are people that will come up with another idea of what that work means to them, but that's how I see it. And yet there's something inside of him that's fighting to be human because he knows he's a bug, but he still tries to have a conversation with his mother. She's chasing him with a newspaper. His dad's throwing apples at him.
Well, he's
But dad, I love you. Get out of here. You're a bug. Because they don't know who he is. They don't know what it is.
right.
And so that to me is where literature's fun, right? Um, Slaughterhouse-Five, Vonnegut. It originally was supposed to be called the Crusade of the Children. So be it is a phrase, and it does a time travel, and you learn things like Vonnegut was in World War II, and he was in a slaughterhouse during the bombing of Cologne. Like
Hmm.
I've been to Cologne in Germany. That doesn't make me great. I went on a tour. Hey, this is Cologne. I'm like, ah.
Cologne.
But then you read about it years later. Like, not only was I there, like you could see the chapel is the only thing that wasn't bombed in the whole city. He was there. Like he was to survive. You have to remember these men and women saw things that you and I never saw. So when our dads got beatings from grandpa or whatever, they come from a different cloth of things that the world was a dangerous place and they were fighting for something. And they were fighting to spoil. I remember my grandfather, you're so spoiled rotten. I'm like, I'm not spoiled rotten. I got to take the trash out. And he would laugh. Like, and I laugh now, right? Like, I guess I was spoiled rotten. You make me take the trash out. He's like, yeah, and I work hard, so that's all you have to do.
Yeah, that part.
I work hard so that you can just totally be disregarded of all things in front of you. But I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. So that's the gift I actually had with my dad. And I could have lived with my grandparents and my mother. I had a chance at one time, and I was like, no, I need to be with my father. My mom's like, it's safer here. And I go, I know I'm a man. I have to go out in the world and see what to do. I was 11. I have to go be a man. Like that's a strong calling. And it was rad. I mean, there's things about the stories that sometimes are really funny and sometimes you can make people cry with them and stuff, but
Yeah,
it wasn't average, but it wasn't worse than. It was just different than.
yeah, yeah.
And it was the same as a lot of other men. And that's the part that where I think when I speak, that's why I get angry when I hear buzzwords. Not like do the work like we just did. But when you watch someone and they have the time and space to write everything down, and I'm happy for them. I'm not jealous of them. Maybe I am jealous. Like you had all this time to write that, but what are you talking about? What are you saying? You were sad? I get it. We're all sad. But sometimes they don't have the opportunity to grow out of that. And so how do you teach someone to move out? Like there's a woman I know, and her son sometimes doesn't understand. He has this nihilistic approach of life. Like life is meaningless. I'm like, how do you get him to understand life isn't meaningless? I guess it's you have to have it and then give it back. And that was the other part that I wrote another book. It's called, and this one's good. You might enjoy this one. Not that you would enjoy the other ones I said, but it's called Why Fish Don't Exist. It's by a writer called Lulu Miller, and she writes about the story of Jordan Starr, no, David Starr Jordan. Now, who the fuck is David Starr Jordan? He was the first president of Stanford University. Great. So what? Oh no, it's magic. He's a taxonomist, so he labels fish, right? But the gist of the story is in 1806, 1906 is a great earthquake. It's 6 or 8. There's the great San Francisco earthquake, and all his samples are destroyed. And he runs in and he gets a hose and he starts putting all the fish back together and putting name tags on them. And the point is, life is chaotic. You can't stop chaos. But the human condition gets to at least have the illusion of managing the chaos. And that's why it's important. So if it's all useless and it all means nothing, that's what gives it purpose. That's another way of looking at life. It doesn't matter. No, that's why it matters. So if you ever say, my life sucks, it does suck because it's pointless. And that's why it's important for me to show that life's important. That's internal. I don't have to make a bumper sticker about that.
Yeah.
So every time you run into someone, like you watch the new, like, what do they call them, death scrolls? Don't ever ask anyone how their day is. Say, do you like pizza? Like, fuck you. Just acknowledge a person any way you want. Don't
Yeah.
tell me how to speak. If I
Yeah.
go up and just scream at you, go, then go, hey man, I'm back at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Walter,
Stop. Go. I'm sorry. I get excited.
Yeah.
Don't. I get excited. I'm sorry.
I love that though. I
Look
mean,
at my hand.
you're teaching me
What
quite
do
a
I do
bit
with my
of
hands?
today, brother.
What do I do with my hands?
It's like somebody told me that, they go through like dumps of whatever's in their mind,
Yeah.
like a mind dump.
Oh yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, and you're on it, but it's a good thing. Uh
Yes, sir.
you 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 mentioned a lot. But now you own a car dealership.
Yes, sir.
How did you get how did you get there to being where you are to say, you know what, I wanna get this car lot going?
Oh, that was because I had nothing else going on. So I worked at car lots. Okay, my father was in the car business. I never wanted to open up my own car lot. I worked at franchise dealers. I did okay. I could be okay. I went to work hard. I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Um, a friend of mine goes, "You should open up your own lot." And the next thing I know, we opened up a lot because I couldn't get hired anywhere because I was smoking and drinking too much. So I figured I'd open up a car lot. At the time, also my mother-in-law at the time was also diagnosed with breast cancer. So I was like, well, you know what, this will be a good time for me to at least I could take her to chemo. I could be around the house more. And I kind of liked it and I kind of didn't. And then it kind of morphed into like a holding space. And I'm I'm it's it's changing again. The independent stores, I'm closing it down. I'm not because, well, a lot of different reasons. It's not, it's a lot of work with no reward at the levels that I want. And I want to go into, um, speaking again. I'm going to go back into writing again. And that's the direction that I'm going. Um, because I believe, I'm not sure exactly where that's going to take me tomorrow, but I think I have something to say, and I think I can help people either be on a micro level with maybe therapy, becoming a public worker, or maybe becoming a keynote speaker. Um, Not because my story's better than anyone, but maybe because it is muddled and it's not just canned and it's not the same every time. I don't need to sell anybody anything. I just need to remind them that we're all just people
Yeah.
and that we all have these qualities. And sometimes that's just enough. But I do, um, so to answer your question, it's not like I just like, hey, I'm a great car guy. It's what I know how to get. I know how to get things accomplished. And there's a lot of moving parts. It's hard by yourself. So I think I'm going in another direction. That's why there's a lot of effort for these to be on these podcasts. It gives me a venue to speak to men like you and to women, men and women like you, and to hear what I'm saying, to review how I'm talking, and to take the time and rewrite some of my writings that I have. Um,
You're
it's
you're in the process of writing a book of your own, correct?
I wrote one in a week called Week One because I got
Week one.
right one,
WEAK, week
and I
one.
wrote it in a week, WEEK, right, Week One. I'll get you a copy of it, and I wrote it in a week because a buddy of mine has been writing a book for 15 years. And I don't, I said, what are you, Goethe? It took us 60 years to write Faust, man. What are you writing? But I'm also, if you take too long, analysis does paralysis and nothing's ever done. So write it, get it done and print it and go for it. And sometimes your best shot is, like, what is it? The three speeches, the one that you want to give, the one that you practice, and the one that you actually gave, right? Um, so that's the other thing too. It's for a guy like me, I hold myself back because sometimes I want it to be perfect. So when I was doing, when my first wife died, I was going into acting and doing all these things. I got into a lot of editing and everything had to be perfect. And then that becomes mind-boggling. So did I answer your question? I think I got lost.
Yeah, yeah, you get a little lost in translation, man.
So you booked him, huh, Billy? Yeah. Did he have a freaking shopping cart? Yeah.
Oh God, Walter,
Was
man.
he
You
Diogenes
know,
running around looking for things to
no,
complain about?
you're okay, Walter. Uh, Walter, how can people reach you?
Well, my favorite line is to say, go out to your window and scream, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. But if you don't want to do that and you just have the internet in front of you and you have an email, you can book Walter at walterruskin.com. Yeah, at walterruskin.com. Or Walter Under Pressure is the Instagram handle, like we're CB writers. We're going to bootleg in Coors. My handle is Walter Under Pressure. Can you do an interview? I don't know. Can you keep a thought together? I don't know. But so those are the ways you can find me. Or you can actually you can dial the office if you need to buy a car, 619 930 9500 and pick up the phone and go, how you doing? I'm doing all right. We want to
I gotta
book you and
go.
buy a car. Like,
I gotta go to New Jersey. I gotta go buy a car.
well, we're in San Diego, so we're
But you're
from
saying,
yeah. We got out here, and then everyone followed me. Not
okay,
everyone, but my family.
okay. Real quick, I have a question or a few questions from this one guy in our chat. His name is Frank. Frank asked, he texted me to ask you this question: how important is having the proper perspective of finances in finding that thing that makes you your true, authentic self?
It kind of came up in a question today. I'm going to answer it like this. I'm in sales, and I was asked a question and went, sales gives me sovereignty. So why is finances important? Because it gives you sovereignty. What is sovereignty? For this man, it is the notion of free thought and not that I'm not obligated or dependent on certain things in the world, but at least my thoughts are not compromised. And that's what gives me integrity. So we do have jobs, and sometimes we have to do things we don't like. I'm not talking about that. We live in the world, right? I mean, not unless we win the lotto or, we invent the next whatever. A lot of us don't have FU money. That's not what I'm talking about. But financing is important because it gives you, like I said, the autonomy to be yourself, but it can't paralyze you. So if you focus all on financing, then like you don't go to work so you can retire. You've missed the point. You go to work so you can live life. If you happen to retire, so be it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want to retire and do things in your life, but it doesn't keep you from doing what you're doing. You have a job, it's an end to a means. If it's not an end to a means, if it's your life and your existence and you don't like that, then you need to readjust your mindset of what work is to you. So when I worked at a car lot, it has very demanding hours and you don't have a lot of time to, let's say, read a book. Let's just use that as an example. Or even go for a run or go to the gym because we have to because and if you have kids, you have all these other places you have to go. And it seems like we're trying to cram so much into this little time and space so we can tell everyone we have a good life and take pictures of our food and then post it. Look, I had a sandwich. Look at me. I had a sandwich. But if you realize that my finances are in order, this is what we want. And and this is where I sound cliche, does it bring me joy? A lot of the things that I buy pre-owned. Is it because I don't just think I deserve nice things? No, because I don't need it brand new. I don't need everything new. And I can find fun in hunting for things that I want. Books as an example, bicycles as an example, gym equipment as an example. These are all external things that I play with. But not everything has to be right out of the box. Not saying that you don't deserve to have nice things, but sometimes immediate gratification robs us of that financial security that we have. And I'm kind of going in a lot of different directions. But if he's looking for a life plan of how do I keep my money in order, one of the things, like a trick that I do is if I have to, let's say I want to go to buy stupid shit, and I go to Ralph, not Ralph's, Target. I load the whole basket up, and I mentally own all this stuff, and I go, where am I going to put it? Nowhere. And I walk out with a pack of gum. Okay, so I played with everything in the store mentally, and I left. That's one way you can go shopping. Um, But what is it you want to do? Do you want it to be world domination so you can tell everybody? So what is it that you want? So if it's to tell people what to do, I think that's the wrong mindset. If it's to tell, is it to quit your job? I think that's the wrong mindset. If it's so that you can have a peace of mind, I think that's the right mindset.
Okay.
And so that way you don't feel guilty if you buy something because you're entitled to buy something.
Indeed. Indeed.
I
One
hope
last
that answers the question.
it I think it touched on it pretty good. One last one. If you give me a quick message to those that are going through, if you had something inspirational that you could share to help those that are going through something, what would you tell them?
It's okay. It's okay to scream at the heavens. It's okay to curse God. It's okay to be unreasonable, and it's okay to be emotionally inept, but not forever. It's okay to share your pain with another person, distribute it equally with a couple different friends because they have things to do as well. Because I had like 5 people I'd call. Are you ready for your hour of bullshit? I'm ready for my hour of bullshit. And then the 2 things that I would suggest: wake up every morning and write something. Even if it's fuck you, write something. Because your hand won't lie to you and eventually you'll write something else. Even if it's just scribbles and paint and hate. And then walk at least down the block. My ex-wife says something she's very happy about, and she tells everybody about this. She was going through a thing. And I said to her, get up. I don't want to. And I said, aren't you worth 10 minutes at least a day? I got shit I got to do, but you're at least worth 10 minutes. So if you're worth 10 minutes to me, you got to be worth 10 minutes to you. And she smiled and she goes, yeah, I got to be worth at least 10 minutes. And then a couple years later, when I was 300 pounds, and I was like, and this guy ran by us. She goes, remember this, Walter, you lapped everyone on the couch today. So if you get up, you lapped everyone on the couch today. You don't have to win. You just have to, and just that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be better every day either. Just be alive today. Not that you should digress. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, oh, I have to go 1% every day. And if it's not 1%, then I'm going backwards. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, that's great. I'm not saying those things aren't important, but you got here because you went down every day 1%, I guess. Those are the things that I would say to people. Yell at God, have a Lieutenant Dan moment, scream on the top of your lungs, pray in violence, and then just tell yourself you're sorry. And don't tell anybody. And when I say don't tell anybody, this is the last thing I'll say about that. This is kind of depending on where you're at and what you're trying to change in your life. And this is where it gets frustrating sometimes. I believe you're ready to change. Don't worry if the rest of the world is.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Fuck them where they breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And if they won't listen to you, call me collect and I'll say, fuck them. And then I'll hang up on you. But that's what's important. You have to remember the world isn't ready for you to change. You're gonna quit eating fat food. Your friends are gonna give you cake. They didn't know you were quitting. Oh, you'll have it. No, I won't.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So trust you. And every day you do it, it's bitching.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't. Oh, and if you have a piece of cake, you didn't fail. You don't have to restart your clock. Take the clocks out of your head.
Mm.
Are you consciously upset about eating the cake? Yeah, you're doing a good job then. Then you're still on the right path. If you're like, fuck it, well then that's another story. But anyway,
Indeed.
so yeah, was that short enough?
That was short. That was good enough. That was good enough. And yeah, you spoke some gems there, sir. You spoke a lot, but you spoke some gems there too, sir. So I greatly
Well,
appreciate
there's a pony in all this shit. I promise. Just keep digging.
just Walter Ruscniaczek.
Yes, sir.
Ruscniaczek?
Yeah, that's Ruscniaczek, but that's okay.
Ruscniaczek. Yes. I really appreciate it.
Mr. Davison, it was
Taking
a
the time
pleasure and
to
an
speak
honor to
with
be on your show.
me and share your wisdom and how that can really impact a person's life, because at some point in our lives, Walter, we got to have that conversation with ourselves and say, I could be doing something far better than this, man. This can't be the end of my story. This can't be the end of my journey.
Right.
Right.
In that,
And it goes to, and this goes to something that I heard this actress Jennifer Lewis say often in her little speeches, and this is going to come across as raunchy, but it makes sense. You're going to sit and shit so long, you can shit so long, it'll stop smelling.
right.
If you sit and shit too long, it'll stop smelling. So get up out of there. Either you sit in it and it doesn't mess, and you go nose blind, or you get up out of there and you make changes.
Also, here's another thing that you said something. I promise it will be accurate, brief, and concise. Don't ever look to be satisfied, because when you are, you're dead. The human condition needs something every day. So be excited that you still hunger. If you feel that you're not hunger, be patient. It's coming. You'll be hungry again.
Walter, I love this conversation, brother.
Thanks.
I really appreciate it, man.
I showered for this, I didn't put it in my hair.
And once you get your podcast up and running, sir, I would love to get up on there and
oh, you're number one. You're my number one.
Chop the fat with you.
My first guest, Mr. Billy Davis.
All right.
I hope I ask questions and I hope I listen.
Well, you were good. You were good enough for me, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is okay to not be okay. Just do something about it. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Walter, you have a good one as well, brother.
God bless you, Mr. Davison. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.